Hi everyone, Salesforce Development Day 24. Today's agenda is we'll quickly go through the previous session overview and we'll talk about the object relationship mapping, which is called as a ORM, and how to create a records inside the object, how to create a related records, and then creating the bulk records. And we'll see the use case, we'll have a quiz, assignments. If time permits, we'll talk about the sub-programs. Now in the sub-programs, we have one of the topic which is called as a procedure. Now what did we learn in the last session?
Syntax of a class, access modifiers, public, private, protected, global, and object, assigning an object value, retrieving it.
Right. So in the last class, we have discussed about how to create a record. So what are the basic structures are there? All the basic structure is completed. And last class we have done how to create a Apex class, right? So if I go to the Apex developer console, if I open this developer console, so in the developer console file, open resource, in the open resource, if I wanted to know how many Apex classes are created, then start.apxc. So if you see here, we have created the employee details and student details, right? So these are the main which we have created. Now, whenever we create any Apex class, there are certain rules which we have to follow. The rule says whoever is creating the Apex class, before creating the Apex class, there is some comments which we need to add it on top. Why this is required? This is basically it is required to understand who has written. Now I have written this class, which is 3 days back. Now I don't know what is the purpose of this class. Similarly, in the real time, whoever is writing the Apex class or a method, whenever they are writing it, we will do the protected. Before that, we need to understand these steps. After that, we will do the protected. So whenever we are writing the Apex class, after two months or after certain time, if somebody came here to understand what is the required one. Now, why it is created, who has created it, what is the purpose of creation, nobody knows it. So that's the reason whenever we are creating a class or whenever we are creating inside sub-programs, it is best practice to add a details here. For example, the details are author is required. So author is, which is a, let's say here, Swapna IT. Now, whoever is the person is creating it, that person name. Now, and created date, when it is created. Created date. This is actually created on July 25th, right? So 25th July, or else you can directly write 25th 07 2023. Now, after that, we need to understand what is the purpose of it. That means description. Description of creating this class. Now, why did we create this class? To capture employee details. To capture employee details. Right? And then we have a last modified. Last modified. What are the last modified by is there? The last modified. Now date, what is the date? And who is the person modified it? Who is the person modified it? And this is the person name. And then like if you want a description. Like description, if you wanted to add, you can add the description. For example, if I'm changing it today, right? So here I need to specify the date, which is a 27/07/2023. This is the date, and the person name is something XYZ. And what is the data? Why we are modifying it? So let's say that adding the joining date variable. Right, so that means I'm adding here public date of birth, let's say joining date, joining date, right? So public date, joining date. So this is what we have added. So whenever we create any Apex class, it is must and mandatory that we need to add the comments are very important, because either you or somebody else, whoever is the person is, whenever they are creating it or whenever they are updating it. So it is always better to add a comments here. We have to always add the comments. Now, let's see the next topic, which is ORM. Now, ORM is nothing but what is this ORM? So whenever there is a object is created, whenever we create a object, whenever the object is created, let's assume that object name is position, the one which we have already created. Right, so whenever the object is created, ultimately the API name, that means table gets created at the backend. The table name is whatever the API name of the object is, the table will be created. And along with this, 5 fields will be created. 5 fields will be created. Like a created date, modified date, name, whatever the 5 fields are there, the 5 fields will be created. And then page layout is automatically created. Along with that, if I say that tab to be created, then tab will be created. Then there is another one which will be created is business logic. Business logic. Now this business logic is gets created. That means every object should be associated to the business logic. Every object associated to the business logic. Now, who will be creating it and how it is going to create it, which is a concept of ORM, which is a concept of ORM, object relationship mapping. Object relationship mapping. Now, this object relationship mapping is what are the ORM? ORM transform the each Salesforce object into the class, whether it is a standard object, whether it is a custom object, whatever the object is there, right? Whenever the object is created or Salesforce is creating the object, for every object is associated with class, where the object name is the same as the class name. Whatever the object API name is there, that's exactly the class name. Now, example, account object will be the transformed as the class of account. So Salesforce has a backend, the business logic, and the business logic class name is account. Business logic class name is account. So if I say that means there is a already the class will be there, public class name, public class name. Now here the what is the class name? Class name is same as the object name. Class name is same as the object name. Then within that, we have a business logic which is written, the members. What are the fields are there, right? So in the account, I have a rating, industry. Those all will be, as soon as I create a field, now what will happen is whenever we are creating a field inside the object, Let's assume that I'm creating a new field in the account object. Whenever I create a new field, assume that it's a PAN card number. I'm creating the new field which is called as a PAN number. So when I create a PAN number, automatically after creating this PAN number, that will be get added into this class. That variable gets added into the class which is called as a account class. That means here there is a PAN number field is that gets created. PAN number field is that gets created here. Similarly, if lead is the another object, right? That is also standard object. For the standard object also we have a public class name. Class name is a lead. And then we have a open and close braces. Inside that we have a class members. And then position. Position is the another object. Here it is a custom object. Now position object represents in the form of position class. That means public class name. Class name is position underscore underscore C. Inside this we have a class members. Inside this we'll have a class members. Now can I view this whatever the ORM is implemented by Salesforce? Can I view? Do I have access to view this? No, we do not have access to view. We do not have access to view that. So classes we cannot view. What are the Salesforce is creating or what are the standard ORM classes are there. Those ORM classes we cannot see in the Salesforce. Those are hidden. Now similarly ORM, now these are the position, and then each field inside the object will be represented in the form of variable inside the class. That means, for example, let's say a position is the object. Inside the position, we have a different fields. That means whenever I create a position object, the first thing is that Salesforce is going to create a position class. So public class position underscore underscore C, which is the API name of the class name is, which is a class name equal to object API name. Class name equal to object API name. Object API name. Now, so this is the class at the outer structure. It creates the public class name, and within that we are creating within this object we are creating the few fields. For example, I'm creating there is a default name field gets created. Also, we have created the open date, right? So open date field we have created, and number of vacancies also we have created. Number of vacancies field also we have created. Whenever these fields are created in the object, whenever these fields are created in the object, so what will happen is automatically these records will be added as a variable inside the class. So that means here name gets added into the class, saying that public string name. So this is the text field. What are the text fields are there? Those will be converted as a string. Now open date is a date data type. It will be converted into the variable and stored into the variable, and it will take it as a date format. Now, who will be deciding it, which data type should be there? It's a Salesforce is deciding it based on the which data type you are selecting while creating the field. Based on that, Salesforce automatically capture this data type, and at the backend in the class ORM class, it will create a field, it will create a variable where the data type is date. And similarly, number of vacancies will be having the integer. Now this is the integer, that means here number of vacancies is number data type. Number data type will be automatically converted into the integer data type. Integer data type. So this is how whenever we create a new field, ultimately those fields are converted as a variable and stored into the class called ORM class called position underscore underscore C, or the related object, whichever the object is there, the same object will be stored. Now, along with this, there are few more data Salesforce is storing it. Few more data the Salesforce is storing it. Now, take a notes of it. ORM, take a notes of it. Let me know once you are done taking the notes.
And whatever the objects, standard objects are there, which will be access specified will be public only or global.
Sorry.
As you define here, public class object name, right? So, as per the ORM feature, it will be inbuilt as public or global.
Public. We cannot access the ORM outside of the org.
Okay.
No. So take the notes of this also. Done. Now, along with this, so object along with the creating the classes, Salesforce is also creating the methods. That means whenever the Salesforce creates a class, the ORM class, whenever it creates the ORM class, along with the ORM classes, there are few methods will be created. Now that means Salesforce by default implementing few methods. So those methods are, you can use it in the Visual Force page. We can use it in Visual Force page or Lightning or LWC. You can use these methods. Now example, save method. Save method is Salesforce is implementing the save method. You can use this method in the Visual Force page in order to save the record. And similarly, quick save, cancel, delete, first, next, last, previous. This first, next, last, previous, we have used it in the Visual Force page whenever we are viewing the table details, right? The details which we have viewed it. So in the table, we have a first, which is a first record, and the next record, if you wanted to see the next record in the Visual Force page. So we have implemented the first, next, last, previous. So these are the ORM methods, which is by default Salesforce is providing it. Now, along with the previous, we have a has previous, has next, right? This is has previous, has next is to know that is there any data or any page is available. For example, I have a 10 records. Now each page is divided into the 5. Each page is showing the 5 records. Now after 2 pages, it has to verify. Now do I need to display the third page or not? Because is there any data in the third page? So which is can be decided by the has next. Has next. These are the predefined methods which are provided by the Salesforce. That means Salesforce is automatically implementing. These methods are available for every object. For every object which is available. Now this we cannot view it, but you can directly use the same method in the Visual Force page. Like if you are in table, if you are implementing a table, and if you want a first, next, last, previous, or if you wanted to know whether we have a previous page or a next page is there or not, if you wanted to know that, this can be done. Now these are the methods, total 10 methods which are provided by the Salesforce. So that means here each Salesforce object will be represented in form of class as below, like a object name. What is a business class name? So account is the object name. It will be converted the business class name as a account. For a contact business logic name. For opportunity business class name. For lead business class. Similarly, we have a custom object. Position underscore is the custom object name. And the business logic name will be same as the API name of the object name. So similarly, if you have any other custom object, your class name will be the same as the object name. So that means by using these business logic classes, we can interact with the associated objects. That means where these ORMs are going to help you. ORMs are basically helps the developer in order to interact with the objects. Now, developer are working in the developer console. Right from the developer console, I wanted to create a record in the account, or I wanted to update a record in the developer console. So usually if I wanted to create a record, usually we want to create a record, what we will do, we will go to the Salesforce, right? So we will go to the Salesforce. Once we are done with creating the sales, like in the Salesforce, let's go to the application, related application, then we will open one of the object here. In the object, if I wanted to create a record, I need to click on the new button here. Now, based on the data type, based on the record type, what we can do is we can select the customer account. Now I have to insert some data here. What are the mandatory fields are there? I need to enter the mandatory fields, then I need to click on save. This is on the UI level. But in case developer wants to create it from the developer console, developer wants to create it from the developer console. In that case, how can we do it? So with the help of ORM, we can create or we can interact. That means developer can create a record or developer can interact with the object, whether the object is there, the related object, they can insert the record or they can update the record, whatever the actions they wanted to perform it, they can perform it using the ORM from the developer console. Now let's see the example. How can we do that? Now the examples are, let's go to the developer console. Now here, let's say debug, open, execute anonymous window. Let's clear all this. Now the step one, I need to create an object, for account class. For account class, there is a account class is already available. For that account class, we have to create it. Now, yesterday, what we have done, if you remember the employee details, for the employee details, we have created the object, right? So how did we create the object for the employee details? So we have provided employee details, e-details, right? E-details equal to new employee details. Because I have a class here. For that class, I am creating a object, or for that class, I am creating an instance. Now I can pass the information here, e-details dot student name. So student name equal to Melissa. And then here the course details, e-details dot student ID. Like this, we were passing the information, right? So STD002. So like this, we were passing the information. Similarly, if I wanted to create a record or if I wanted to pass the details of the account, how can I do it? Step one is I need to create an object for the account class. Now, in order to create an object, I need to use the account. Account is the class name. ACC is the variable name, object name, equal to new account. New account. Now creating the instance or creating the object. Now here we are creating the object. Once I create the object, now second step is assign the values. We have to assign the values in the account ACC dot Like for example, we have a new. Let's say we are creating it from the Apex record. Developer console. No, ACC dot rating. Similarly, we have it. Industry. Whatever these field names are there, right? These field names are the API names. Whatever the field names are available, these field names are API. Now, sometime back, somebody was asking when we were in the admin class, what is the use of the API fields? No, the use of the API fields are from the developer console, or if the developer wants to create a account record, or they wanted to refer the fields of the account record, or they wanted to refer the fields of any object. Could be any object. Whenever they wanted to refer the object fields, then we use the API name. Then we use API name of the, which is a field name. So this is a field name, API name. We will use these API names inside the developer console. So which is acc.name, acc.rating, acc.industry. Now let's say here industry is chemical. Right? Like this, you can add whatever the data is there. ACC dot. What else we have? ACC dot active is there. Active underscore C equal to, let's say it is not active. Now this is the step. Like this, you can declare. You can declare the whatever the fields that you wanted to add. You can declare it. Now once this is done, now I wanted to insert the records. Now I want to insert the records. Now step 3. Step 3. Step 3 is insert records. Now insert records can be either you can, let's say here, step 3 is the DML operation. DML operation. DML operation is nothing but either you can insert a record, either you can update a record, either you can delete a record, right? So these all can be done using the DML operation. Now here I'll say that insert ACC. Insert ACC. Now here I'm referring the class. For the class I'm creating the object. Object name is ACC. With the help of object name, we are assigning the values to the field, and then finally I'm inserting the record. Finally, I'm inserting the record. Now let's go ahead and check here in the account. Do I have any record which says developer console? No, we do not have anything which is called as a developer console. Now let's go ahead and insert. Now highlight this, execute it. Industry spelling is wrong. Now it is done. Now if I go back to the all customer, click on the refresh. Now here we have a developer console, right, which is created right now. Now if I see the created date, go to the details section. Created date is 27/07/2023, 8:36 AM, Indian time. Right, so this is how the record is created. Now in case if you want to print whatever the ID is created, I wanted to print it in the developer console. You can print in the developer console. Let's say here if you wanted to print step 4. This is just for a confirmation or a printing the debug log, or let's say this is debug log. Now here you need to write if After inserting it, in case if this account is not null, or you can check acc dot id is not equal to null. Because before inserting it, you will have a account ID is null. Now let me show you that. Now this is open. If condition, then I'll say that system dot debug, let's say account record is created. Account record is created. Then I'm going to print the acc dot id. Now let me print this system dot debug before the insert. So before the insert, account is not created yet. Not created yet. I'm printing the ACC ID. Now before inserting it, I'll not have a ID. That means ID is not yet generated. ID is not yet generated. Now what will happen here is the records, we are calling the class. Inside the class, we are passing the data. That means right now the class is holding the values. What are the class is that? The class is holding the values. That is the business logic. That is the business logic. Now in this business logic, we are passing the information. Once we pass the information, now we have a database, right? So business class is in between. Now here we have a UI business class and here it is a database. Now inside the database, we have a table called account. Table is account. Now till this point, we are calling the business class and passing the values to the variable, assigning the values to the variable. Now, whenever we do the insert, it goes to the business logic. Now we are inserting the record. As soon as the insert is done, if there are no issues in the business logic, that means there is no error in the business logic. What will does is it will go to the database.com. In the database.com, we have an account table. In the account table, it is going to insert the record inside this account table. Once it is inserted, then it is going to send the information back to the business logic. Then it is going to send the information back to the whatever the Apex code is there. Now, after inserting, there will be a ID. Now, before inserting, there won't be ID because here what we are doing is insert ACC. Whenever we do the insert ACC, till this point, we have not yet inserted inside the database.com. Now, after execution of this line, then we are going to insert the data into the database. Once it is a insert is successful, then only the ID gets generated into the database.com. Once the ID is generated, we can pass that information back to the developer console. Then we can see the information. Now let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Now click on the debug only. Now see here, account is not yet created. The ID is null. Which line it is? It is in the 10th line. Now if I open this, now this is the 10th line. This is the 10th line. In the 10th line, the value of the account ID is null. Now in the 17th line, I have a ID and it is printed the ID. Now it is created the new record which is called as a developer console 1.2. Now if I go back to the account, now here it is created the developer console 1.2 and the created date is today's date right now. What are the 8:40 is the Indian time. Right, so that's how we are going to, even whenever we are implementing the logic in the say Apex class, this is exactly we will write it. Now there are few developers, either they will write it like this or there is another way of declaring it. So what few developer does is, this is the or condition. You can use whichever the format you like it. There are two ways which we can declare we can insert the records. Now few developers, what they will do is, while declaring it, while initializing it, while creating the object itself, they will specify the name and the rating directly in the bracket, they will specify. Here, let's say developer console 34, comma, then I'm going to specify the rating, whatever the rating is there, the rating, and then comma, we are going to specify the industry, right? And then comma, the active. So while creating the object, while initializing while initializing the instance of the class. During that time only, they will specify the variables within the bracket. Within the bracket, they will specify it, and there won't be any step 2. This is the step 1. So this is the step 1. After the, while declaring the step 1, we can specify the directly the what are the fields are there, API fields, we can directly declare it within the bracket. Now we can have a step 3, which is called as a insert ACC. This is the step 3, insert ACC. Now once you are done with insert ACC, then you can specify here, enter information. Like if you wanted to print here, now the step 4, if you want to print the details, we can print it. Now instead of the ID, you want to print the complete account information. Now you can say here ACC. You can say here ACC. Now if I execute this logic, execute the highlighted one, debug. Now account record is created, and these are the account name is a developer console 3.4, rating is a cold, industry is chemical, active is no, and there is a ID that gets generated. There is a ID that gets generated. Now if I go back to the account, there is a developer console 3.4. Right, so either of one, the developer will follow, whichever the one which they feel it, they will go. Either they can implement like this step by step, or else they can combine the step 1, step 2, and then step 3, step 4, they can be executed. So there is no harm into this, which are the one who follow it. This is just for the clarity. Developer are both, if the developers are comfortable with this, they can go with this approach, or if the developer are comfortable with this approach, they can go with this approach. Either of one, they can do it. Now this is here, what we are doing, we are inserting the record. Let's assume that I wanted to, after inserting the data, I wanted to update the record. I want to update the record. Now we are printing the insert here. If I wanted to update the record, for example, I wanted to update, let's say active checkbox. I wanted to update the active checkbox. So what I'll do is ACC dot. If I wanted to update, I need to prefer the which field I wanted to update. Let's say here active equal to, I'll say yes. Active equal to yes. Then instead of the insert, I'll specify the update ACC. Update ACC. Now once we are done with the updates, again I'm going to print this. No, here it's not required. Directly I'll print the debug. System.debug account record is updated. Account record is updated. Now let me execute this. Let's say here 6, 7. Execute the highlighted one. Now debug. No. Account record is created with the active equal to no. Now then account record is updated with the active equal to yes. With the active equal to yes. So that this is the normal DML operations, insert, update, delete. Now in case if you wanted to delete the record, you can also delete the record. Now questions, who will transform the each Salesforce object into in the form of class?
Developer,
As part of the ORM, Salesforce does it. Whenever the object is created, Salesforce automatically transfers that into the class with the help of ORM concept. How many methods are created by ORM?
10.
10 methods are created. What is ORM?
Object relationship mapping.
Okay.
Right, object relationship mapping. No. Now we know how to create a records also we have seen, right? So step one is create the object and then supply the values to the variable which we have already seen. Now using that, once the values are supplied, then we have to use the insert account. And in order to get the confirmation, then we have to get the confirmation. Total step four. Total step fours are there. 4 steps. Now we're using the 4 step. Either you can go 2 ways you can do it. First one is a step 4. 4 steps are there. Second one is step 3 steps. Because the second, the alternate way is step 1 and step 2 both are combined together. Right? The above one is have a step-by-step information. The below one is step 1, step 2 is combined. Then we have a step 3, step 4. Either of one you can go with this. No. This is all we have seen. We have seen creating the account record. Now take the assignment. Write an Apex program to insert the lead record inside the object. And next one is write an Apex program to insert a case record inside the object. And the third one is write an Apex program to insert a contact record inside the object. Now next one is write an Apex program to insert a position record inside the object with Bangalore location. In the position, we have a something called location. In the location, you need to use the Bangalore location. Now, next one is write an Apex program to insert the Bangalore city. Now you have a lead object. So inside the lead object, now you need to create a city. City is a Bangalore, and the manufacturing industry is manufacturing, and the revenue should be the 56 lakhs. So while creating the lead, you need to specify the Bangalore, and industry is manufacturing, and the revenue is 56 lakhs. Take a notes of it. I'll explain it. Once you guys are done with taking the notes, I'll explain. Done? Okay. No. Whenever we wanted to, in generic, in mathematical, whenever we wanted to check anything, for example, I wanted to check if the country or if the city is equal to, I'll say Hyderabad. If it is equal to Hyderabad, I'll specify like this. If it is not equal to Hyderabad, how do we mention? If it is not equal to Hyderabad, if it is not equal to Hyderabad, if it is not equal to Hyderabad, usually in the mathematical, how do we write it? We will write it like this, right? So which is, now city is not equal to Hyderabad. Now this way, like this, you cannot specify, right? This is equal to and this is not equal to. This is not equal to. In Salesforce Apex code, what we will do is we will write equal to is a equal to and not equal to is basically we will write it like this. Instead of a equal to like this, instead of writing like this, what we will do is not equal to. Whenever I say exclamation equal to is nothing but which is not equal to. Clear? Is that clear?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, instead of a standard object, if you want to use the custom object, you can also use the custom object. You can also use the custom object. Now here, for example, instead of this, I wanted to go with the position object. You can use the API name of the position object. So here we have done a custom setting, custom field, right? This is the custom field. So wherever you have a custom field, you need to refer the custom. Whatever we are doing it to the standard, same thing we can apply it for the custom also. We cannot create a custom object and custom fields. We can provide the, once the object is created, we can provide the variables or we can create a record. By using this, what we are doing is we are creating a record inside the table. We are creating a record inside the table, right? So we are not creating the custom object. Now, creating a custom object means what we are doing here, creating a custom object means going to the object manager. You need to click on the create a custom object. No, we are not doing the creating a custom object. Using this, we are creating the records inside the custom object. Using this, we are creating the records inside the custom object. That means in the database, we are inserting the new record. In the database, we are inserting the new record. Clear, Hari? Okay. Now, let's move on. Now, creating a related record. So far, we have seen how to create a record within the same object. Within the same object, how to create a record we have seen. Now, in the same object, that means I'm doing the initialization of the or creating the object of a class in the account within the same object or within the same class, we can create it. We can assign the values to the variable and we are inserting the same object. We are inserting the same object. Now here, now in case we have a relationships in the Salesforce. When I have a relationship, if I wanted to create a related records, now how do I do that? So Salesforce is providing the set of ready-made objects. Like as part of the Salesforce CRM, we can see that there is a sales, service, marketing related data is there, right? So they have a Salesforce in those applications. We have some default objects which are provided by the Salesforce, and for those detailed default objects, there is a relationship which is implemented. There is a relationship which is implemented, like an account object. Account object has a implemented a relationship with the contact object, opportunity object, case object. There is some relationship. I'm not saying that whether it is a master detail relationship or a lookup relationship, I'm not saying it, but there is a link is available. Like if I go to the contact and if I create a new record, there is a lookup to the account. Similarly, if I go to the opportunity, if I create a record, there is a lookup to the account, right? Similarly, case object is there. If I create a case record, there is a lookup which is available, which is looking for the account object. That means there is a relationship which is implemented between the account and contact, account and opportunity, account and case object. Now, when we have this kind of a relationship, how do we do this? Like, for example, what will happen first of all? Now, we know that normally when we create a lookup relationship, for example, if I create a custom lookup relationship, let's assume that there is a position object. There is a position object. Now, for the position object, looking up to the hiring manager, looking up to the hiring manager. Now, here we have a lookup relationship between these two. Between these two, we have a lookup relationship. When we have a lookup relationship, if I delete a parent record, what will happen to the child record? If I delete a hiring manager, what will happen to the child records? Will it deleted or not deleted for the lookup relationship?
Will not get deleted.
It will not be deleted. Now let's see what will happen here. Let's identify what is the relationship between these two. What is the relationship between these two? Let's see that. Now here, for example, between the account and contact, let's see account and contact. Now if I go to the contact object, now here in the contact, now if I click on the new record, if I click on new record, now I have an account. I have an account is the lookup relationship which is available. Account is the relationship which is available and it's a lookup relationship. And it is lookup relationship. If you want a still more clarity, then what you can do is go for a schema builder. Go for schema builder. Now in the schema builder, clear all account and then I want the contact. Contact. Now here, this is the contact. Now the relationship between these two. Now if you look at this, this is the account and this is the contact. Now this is wherever you have this thin line, right? This is lookup relationship. That means here the parent is account object. Parent is account object. This is the parent is account object. Contact is a child object. Contact is child object. And the relationship between these two is lookup relationship. Between these two, schema builder. As per the schema builder, what it says is it's a lookup relationship. It is lookup relationship. Now, when we have a lookup relationship, right? So that means on the contact, I have a ID here, which is a account name. Account name. Lookup is a account name, right? So the relationship is from the contact. From the contact, if you wanted to access the parent record or if you want to associate the parent record, you cannot say account name. Now, if I go to the object manager, now if I go to the object manager, let's say here contact. Let's say contact. Now inside this contact, now let's say fields and relationship. And this is the contact name. And what is the API name of this is account ID. So the relationship field API name is account ID. So whenever you wanted to assign any value, you wanted to assign the account. For example, you have created the contact object. That means the contact. Now here, contact, CON equal to contact, new contact. Now by using this, if you wanted to assign the account ID, that means what you have to do, con dot account ID. Con dot account ID equal to whatever the account ID is there, you need to assign that account ID. Let's say, for example, it starts with 001 and then we have it, some values which are there. Now, like this, you need to assign the account ID to the con dot account ID. Right? So here the relationship is lookup relationship and relationship field name is account ID. So this account ID, this field account ID contains the account record information. Now, how do you get the account ID? Account ID, you will get it from the, if you go back to the account record. For example, I'm creating the contact. While creating the contact, I wanted to create a contact and assign that contact to this account. Assign the contact to this account, which is a developer console 67. So this is on top, we have a 18-digit ID. That 18-digit ID, we have to assign it to the account ID. Now, so we have it between the account and contact. We have a lookup relationship where the parent object is the account, child object is a contact, and the relationship field is account ID. This field is contains the account record 18-digit ID to which contact should be associated. To which contact should be associated. Now, whenever the contact is associated, now let's go ahead and create a one of the contact here. Let's assume that I'm going to create a contact. I'm going to create a contact from the developer console. Let's go to the developer console. Now here, I'll say contact CON equal to new contact. CON dot account ID equal to, I wanted to assign this account ID. That means I wanted to create a contact and associate the contact to the this account. So that's the reason I'm providing the ID here, which is the account ID. And then con dot last name equal to, let's say, Rachel. And then con dot first name equal to David. And then what else we have on the contact? Now, if I create a contact, what are the fields are important on the contacts? Contact last name is important, and that's all. No other information is mandatory. So I'll simply say here, then I'll say insert con. Insert con. Now let's execute this insert con. Execute the highlighted one. Now let's go ahead and check. Refresh this. Right, there is a contact is created. Right, where it is created and it is associated with the account ID, which is called as a developer console 67, because that is the ID which we have provided. That is the ID which we have provided it here. When we say lookup relationship, if I delete a parent record, the child record should not be deleted, right? But what will happen with the standard objects? No, this is the parent record, then I'm opening the child record also. No. Let's say that I'm deleting the parent record. As per the rule of a lookup relationship, if I delete a parent record, child record should not be deleted. Child record should not be deleted, right? But if I delete this parent record, what will happen to the child record? Child record also deleted. Child record also deleted. Now, if I go back to the recycle bin, I can see only the account. I cannot see the contact. I cannot see contact. Rachel, right? Though it is a lookup relationship, but Salesforce, these two objects are Salesforce object, account and contact. So Salesforce is providing the additional behavior between the account and contact. What is that additional behavior? Is whenever we remove the account record, all the associated contact records, all the child records will be get removed automatically from the object, which is the additional feature. This is provided by the Salesforce based on the CRM user's request. Now, this is the interview question. The interview question is, they will ask you what is the relationship between the account and contact. Those are the standard objects, right? Those are the standard objects. Now, if you say lookup relationship, the relationship between the account and contact, the lookup relationship, then he will say that, okay, if I delete an account, what will happen to the child record? As per the lookup relationship, it should not delete it. But we have a here additional feature which is provided by the Salesforce is whenever you delete a parent record, child records are automatically deleted. Child records are automatically deleted. So we need to explain the interviewer saying that the relationship is a lookup relationship, but Salesforce is providing the additional features like whenever we delete an account record, the child records also gets deleted, which is a master detail feature is available on top of the lookup relationship for the standard objects. For the standard objects. So that's the additional feature provided by the Salesforce. Usually this feature is available for the master detail relationship, not for the lookup relationship. But Salesforce is providing this feature for the lookup relationship for standard objects, between the standard objects, that is also account and contact. You can provide it. There is a field called record ID. So you have a record type. So for example, I'm creating the account. Whenever I'm creating the account, now it is asking the record type ID, right? So if you want to provide the record type ID, you have a field called record type ID. So what you can do is you can provide it the record type ID here. Debug, open. Now whenever you are creating the account, let's say here we are creating the account and I need to provide the record type ID, ACC dot, you can provide the record type ID. What is the record type ID? We have so many record type IDs are there. So many record type IDs are there. Now, where can you check that record type ID? Go to the object. Now, in the object, go to the account. Now, here we have a fields and relationship. And this is the record types. Here it is, the record types. So in the record type, I have a 3 record types are there. For example, I wanted to create a record, account record for the individual person. Now copy this record type ID and provide that record type ID here. Record type ID here. Right, this is the record type ID. So far, whatever happened, the developer console 3, 4 or whatever we have created, these all are for the record type which is created for default record type. customer account record type, which is a default. Now, if I execute this, it should be created for the individual record type, because the record type here it is, we have taken the individual person. Now, this way I can re-execute this. Execute the highlighted one.
Semicolon after record type ID.
Okay. So let's execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Now, if I go back to the account, so 189, which is the one which we have created, and the record type for this is individual person. But this is the record type, you can assign it. Record type ID, you can assign it whenever you have a record type. Whenever you have a record type, the implemented the record type, and if you able to see that there is a different record types are available within the account, then you can assign this record type ID. But whenever you are creating a record, whenever you are creating the record, don't assign the ID like acc.id. acc.id. Do not assign this, because the IDs are generated by default by the Salesforce. You should not be assigning the ID here. This part you cannot do it. You can assign the record type ID. You can also assign the related account, related record ID. Related record ID you can say, but you cannot say that contact.id. Whatever the object, whatever the record you are creating it, that record you cannot say. This you cannot say. This, whatever the object name is there, .id, you cannot say that. You cannot say that. That is not possible. We should not be saying that, because the ID is generated by the Salesforce. You can say this contact dot related ID, you can mention it. And if you have a record type ID, you can specify the record type ID. But you cannot say contact.id, which is not accepted, because you are creating the new record. When the new record is created, ID is generated by the Salesforce. ID is generated by the Salesforce. We should not be providing the ID to the database. Yes, we will do that later. Okay, then let's move on. Now, similarly, we have another object, like we have an account and opportunity. Account and opportunity. So we have a lookup relationship between these two objects. Between these two also we can see the lookup relationship, because whenever I'm creating the opportunity, now let me show you the schema builder. Now let me delete this schema build contact and let's use the opportunity. If I say here opportunity, opportunity is a child object. This is the child object and this is the parent object. Now in the schema builder, parent is looking up to the child, which is a many. One parent is looking up to the many child. Now this is the parent and this is the child. This is the child record. Now in the parent, account object is the parent and the opportunity is a child object. And what is the relationship we have? The relationship is lookup relationship. Here also the lookup relationship. That means as per the schema builder, it is a lookup relationship. And what is the relationship ID here? There is a relationship ID which is called account ID. Opportunity, on the opportunity we have a relationship which is called as the account ID. So here this field contains the account record ID, where the opportunities can be associated to the account, where the opportunity can be associated to the account. Now, if I go to the account and here we have an opportunity, right? So we can create an opportunity and link the opportunity. This is also lookup relationship. But what will happen if I remove the parent record? Will the opportunity get removed or the opportunity will be there? Whenever I delete a opportunity, whenever I delete a parent record, that means if I delete a account record, what will happen to the child? What will happen to the child, which is a opportunity? Now this also automatically it will be removed. By default, it will remove. By default, it will remove. Now here, parent is the account, child is the opportunity. Now upon removing the account record, if the account record contains any related opportunity record, it will be get removed automatically by default, which we have seen with the contact, same thing with the opportunity also. Whenever I delete a account record, opportunity also gets deleted. That means related opportunity gets deleted automatically. Along with this, on the opportunity, we have an additional functionality which is implemented. Usually for the lookup relationship, we do not have a roll-up summary field. We do not have roll-up summary field, but we can create between the account and opportunity. We can create a roll-up summary field between the account and opportunity. Between the account and opportunity, I can create a roll-up summary field. Now, where can we create a roll-up summary field, on the parent or on the child?
On the parent.
So parent, if I go to the parent, fields and relationship, click on the new. And if I specify here roll-up summary field, right? So this is the roll-up summary, click on the next button. Let's say this is roll-up. Click on the next. Now, what is the summary object? Which one it is saying? Opportunities it is saying. It is not saying the contact. It's not saying the case. Only the between the account and opportunity, we can create we can implement a roll-up summary field, and we have an entitlement associated location. Those are the different altogether. But what are the relationship which is implemented between the account, contact, account, opportunity, account, case? Only the object we can see is opportunity. So there is an additional feature which is available for the opportunity is we can create a roll-up summary field between the account and opportunity object. That is the additional feature. Take a notes of it. Then we will see what is how the account and case will be implemented.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
in that relationship field, it is mentioned that contact dot account ID, it is wrong.
Yeah, this is incorrect. It should be the opportunity. On the opportunity also we have a account ID. Done. Done with the taking the notes. Okay, let's move on. Now, next one is between the account and case. Account and case is also we have a lookup relationship, right? So here, if I go to the schema builder, now let's take out that opportunity, and here it is the case. Click on this case. Between the account and case, case is the child, account is the parent. So this is the parent object, this is the child object, and the relationship which we have is lookup relationship. The relationship which we have is lookup relationship. Now on the lookup relationship, now here on the case we have an account ID. This account ID is looking up to the parent. Now here also whenever we delete a account record, what are the associated case records are there? No. For contact and opportunity, what happened? For contact and opportunity, whenever these two are also from the account, these two are also lookup relationship. These two are also lookup relationship. But when I delete the account record, these two gets deleted. Contact and opportunity get deleted, right? But whereas case, whenever we are removing the account record, the associated case records, Salesforce will not allow them to remove from the account object. We cannot remove it from the, that means case object will not be deleted. Case object will not be deleted. So it is a proper lookup relationship. Upon removing the account record which is associated with a few case records, then Salesforce would not allow to remove the account from the object. So that means it is not even allow the parent record to delete it. It will not even allow to the parent record to delete it. For example, if I create a case, now let's go to the case object. Now what are the fields it is mandatory? Now, what are the fields it is mandatory? Now the mandatory fields are status, automatically is the origin and the account name. What else we have? That's all. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a case. Now, in order to create a case, I'll say here, let's create an instance case CS equal to new case, right? CS dot account ID. CS dot account ID. The account ID name is, this is the 18-digit ID. I'm passing the 18-digit ID. Let's say CS dot. We have a fields on the case. Let's go to the case object. Object manager. Let's go to the case. Fields and relationship. The origin field is mandatory. Now here we have a, click on the new case, the origin. Let's say phone. Now case dot origin equal to phone. Now, similarly, what else we have case origin? Now that's it. Now let's go ahead and create it. Insert. Yes. Let's highlight this, execute the highlighted one. Now the record is created. Now if I go back to the account record, let's refresh. Now, if we have a case, Salesforce, whenever there is a case is associated with the account, it does not even allow to delete the parent record. It does not allow to delete the parent record. It was allowing for the whenever we have a contact object or whenever we have a opportunity object, we can able to delete it. But if I have a case, and if I'm trying to delete an account record, if I'm trying to delete an account record, it says that you are attempting to delete the account, but we cannot do it because there is an associated case. Whenever there is a case is associated to the account or a parent record, Salesforce does not allow them to delete a parent record. The relationship is a lookup relationship, but the backend functionality which is implemented between the case and account is whenever we are deleting the account record, it checks is there any case record. If there is any case record, then it will not allow them to delete a parent record. So this is additional feature between the account and case. Now, by using the Apex programming, we can create the associated record inside the object. That is, we can create the parent record along with the associated child record. So account object is the parent. For that, we have a contact is the child, opportunity is the child, and the case is also child record. Child case is also child record. Now, between the account and contact, lookup relationship, whenever we delete a parent record, child record is automatically deleted. Now, between the opportunity and account, it's a lookup relationship. Whenever it is deleted, the account record, the parent record, child record is also deleted. Also, on top of this, additional feature is we can have a roll-up summary build to be implemented on the account. Now, between the case and account, it's a lookup relationship. And the feature is whenever the case is associated with the account, the parent record, then we cannot delete the parent record because there is a case is associated to it. So every relationship between the account and contact, there is a relationship which is implemented. Okay, so here these are the information. Now, let's say here. Now take a notes of this, then we will see the next step. Okay. Is it done? Taking the notes of it. First of all, it does not allow to delete the account. It does not allow to delete the account if there is a case is associated with the account. You cannot even delete the account. Done with the taking the notes?
Done. It is applicable only when we created the record through the developer console.
It is applicable only.
When we created the records through the developer console, then only it will applicable.
No. If you delete it here also, for example, let me go to the account. Let's go to the another account. Let's say developer console 3.4. Now for developer console 3.4. Now, for example, if I create a case here, I'm creating the case. Now let's say here origin is, let's click on the web and click on the save. Now I have created a case from the UI, and if I try to delete the account, it does not even allow me to delete the account because there is associated. Whether you are creating it from developer console or not. So basically what it is going to cross-verify is if the account is associated with the cases or not. If it is associated, if there is a case, then it won't be allowed to delete the account record. The parent record will not be deleted. The parent record will not be deleted. Here?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and check. Now this is we have already seen. So for example, if I'm creating the parent inside the object, so just normal account I'm inserting. In case if I'm creating the related child record for the account, then what we have to do is we need to check whether the contact. So while creating the contact, we need to insert the contact dot account ID equal to ACC ID. Now, if you want to create an account and link that account ID, you can do that also. For example, now let's go to the developer console. Now, I do not want to take the existing record. I do not want to take the existing record. So whatever this account record is created, for example, we are creating this account record. Now, whatever this account record is there, I wanted to give that account record. Let's say here developer console is 345. Now I'm creating the case. Now here, instead of hard coding it, what I can say here, instead of hard coding, I can say acc.id, acc.id. Now I can specify here account, insert the account case, case.account ID equal to account ID, insert CS. Now instead of hard coding it, what I'm doing is I'm creating the account, then I'm associating the case with the account ID, then I'm inserting the case. right? Click on this execute. Now there will be an account, the new account will be created 345, and within this there is a case is also created and it is associated to the account. There is a case which is associated to the account, right? So this way also we can provide. Instead of hard coding it, you first create the account and then provide that ACC dot whatever the ID is there, you can create the ID. In case if you want to check a condition, if the account ID is not equal to null, then only create a case. So what you can do is if ACC ID, ACC dot ID not equal to null. If it is ACC ID not equal to null, then what we can do is then only create a case. Then only create a case. Done. You make this one, the ID, ACC ID. So what we are doing here is I'm inserting the account, right? I'm assigning the values to the variable and then I'm inserting. Once it is inserted, what will happen? That means it is stored into the table with the new record. There is a ID code generated and ID is assigned to here. The same ID I'm passing to the case. The same ID I'm passing to the case for the case dot account ID equal to whatever the account ID is there, that ID I'm passing to the account case. Any questions? Is that clear, Hari? So let's move on. We have already seen write an Apex program to insert an account record along with the associated contact record inside the object. Let's take this as an assignment. So this is an assignment. Now in this assignment is, so what you need to do is you need to create an account record, and then this account record, first you need to create an account record. Whenever the account record is created, there is an ID get generated, right? So that ID you need to pass it to the contact. So next you need to create a contact, for that contact dot whatever the account ID is there, account ID equal to on top whatever this object name is there, that object name dot ID you need to provide it. Similar to the what we have done right now. So we have done the case, right? So we have inserted the account, then I'm creating the case. Similarly, you need to create an account, then you need to, once the account is created, then you need to create a contact. While creating the contact, you need to pass that ID to the contact. So that's the assignment. Take the notes of it. Yes, you can do that. But that is not right now. You will do it later. Take another assignment. Write an Apex program to insert hiring manager record along with an associated position record. That means first you need to create a hiring manager record. First you need to create a hiring manager record. Then if the hiring manager ID is not equal to null, then create a position record. Then create a position record. Now, next assignment is write an Apex program to create an account record and related opportunity record inside the object. That means first you need to create an account record, which is the parent. Then you need to create an opportunity record, which is a child. And while creating the opportunity record, you need to pass the account ID equal to whatever the parent account ID is there, that record you need to pass it. Write an Apex program to create a account record and related high priority case record. Related high priority case record. Account record is a parent. Then we have a case record, which is a child. Case record, which is a child. And the third one is write an Apex program to insert a hiring manager record and a related position record and a related candidate record for the position. So hiring manager record, for that we have a position record, and this position record, first you need to create a hiring manager record and then create a position record, and then you need to create a candidate record. So that means write a Apex program to insert hiring manager record and the related position record as well as the related candidate record. So here the candidate is looking for the position. The relationship between these two is candidate is looking for the position. Position is looking for the hiring manager. So what you need to do first step is creating the hiring manager. Second step is creating the position record. While creating the position record, associate the hiring manager record to the position record. That means you need to pass the hiring manager record ID to the position record. Third step is create a candidate record. While creating the candidate record, pass the position ID to the candidate record. Take a note of it. Done. Taking the notes. Now, similarly, you need to create another homework is write an Apex program to insert an account record and related contact opportunity and case record inside the object. So account object is a parent, and then you have a contact opportunity and the case record. Contact opportunity and the case record. The next one is in case if you wanted to create a bulk record. Now, bulk record is nothing but right now we are creating a single record. Now here I'm creating a single record, right? I'm passing the information of single record here. Insert is happening the single. But in case if I wanted to create a bulk, if I want to create a bulk record, let's assume that I wanted to create a 10 account records. 10 account records. How can I create a 10 account records? So for that, what we will do is, this is a single insert creation, right? This is a single record. Now this is single account record. ACC dot name equal to developer, and every time do not create a console. The name should be a different every time. Now then I need to insert the record. This is a single record creation. For example, if I wanted to create a multiple records, that means as if 5 records I wanted to create it. 5 records I wanted to create it. In case if I wanted to create a 5 records, I cannot, that means I need to do it this 5 times. I need to do this 5 times. Instead of doing it for the 5 times, what we can do is we can use the for loop. We can use for loop. So here, let's say that for loop integer, let's declare a counter variable, counter equal to, let's say 1, and counter less than or equal to, let's say 5, and counter plus plus. This is the initialization, right? This is the initialization, and this is the increment, and this is the condition check. Initialization, increment, condition check. Now inside this for loop, what I can do is I can insert all these records. I can insert all these records. Now here developer console, I'll say here instead of a developer console and then space, I'll add it here counter. That means it will create a developer console 1, developer console 2, developer console 3, developer console 4. Like that it is keep on creating it. Like that it is going to create, like say dev console. Dev console 1, dev console 2, dev console 3, up to the 5 it is going to create it. So whatever I'm creating a single record, that logic I have kept it inside the for loop. That logic I have kept it inside the logic. Now I need to do the insert. Now I need to do the insert. Now, usually what will happen is if I have to do the insert, I'll mention here insert ACC. Now, if I write this, what will happen? Now, the logic first it will execute. The first time counter will be 1, right? So it will go inside it and it will execute the logic. So first will be the dev console 1. First record will be the dev console 1. And then we are inserting the record. That means in the table, it is inserting the record. Once it is insert is done, then it will increment the counter, right? Next time it will be 2. Now it is going to create a developer console 2. And the second record will be inserted here. Now again, it will increment. Now next one is counter 3. That means developer console 3. Dev console 3. Now again, it will insert and then it will execute. So how many times my DML gets executed here? 5 times it is executing. 5 times DML is getting executed. Now we have a limitations of the DML. Now let me show you that example. Now let me execute this. Now we are going to, I'm putting the DML inside the for loop, but we should not be putting the inside the for loop. This is just for to understand what is happening here. Now if I try to execute this logic, I'm trying to execute this logic loop, the bulk records I'm inserting. I'm creating the bulk records. Click on the execute highlighted. Now it has taken some time to execute at the backend. Now what is happening? The record got executed every time the insert has been done. Now because of this, what is happened? There is a DML limits are there, right? So DML is 10,000 is the number of rows we can insert, and the statement number of statement is a 5. Number of statements is That means number of DML statements are executed 10 times. Number of DML statements are executed 10 times. Out of 150, 10 times it got executed. Now, how many queries got executed? Queries are 5. 5 queries it is executed. Out of 100 SQL query, 5 queries are executed. Now, CPU time is 748. And the DML rows are 10 out of 10,000. So, number of DML statements is 150. Now, number of DML statements. Now, this is the DML Garner limits. Now, in the DML, we have a number of statements. Number of DML statements is 150. Is 150. Now, in the DML also we have a number of DML rows. How many rows that got executed, right? So, which is 10,000. Which is 10,000. Now, this is on the DML. These are the Garner limits on the DML. How many number of statements, that means how many times that it is got executed, right? So, limit is 150, DML rows limit is 10,000. Now, out of this, it got executed, each one of them is a 10 times it got executed. Each one of them is got executed 10 times. Now, whenever the DML is happening, at the same time, the query got executed. That means the query, there is a data that gets inserted inside the database, right? Whenever it is inserting in the database or there is some query will be executed. There is some query that gets executed, which is called SOQL. Which is called SOQL. Now, on the SOQL also we have two things. So the number of SOQL queries, that means how many queries got executed? 5. But what is the limit? Limit is 100. So number of SOQL queries. Number of SOQL queries is 100. Limit is number of SOQL queries are 100. This is query which we are implementing, or the query that is getting executed at the backend. Query that gets executed at the backend. But how many queries can be, rows can be inserted? The number of query rows. How many query rows? That means how many rows that gets created. How many rows that gets created. So number of query rows, Garner limit is 50,000. Now, sometimes they will ask you to tell me few Garner limits. So these are the main Garner limits, DML and SOQL. DML is number of DML statements are 150. Number of DML rows are 10,000. That means the rows that can be executed 10,000. In the SOQL, number of SOQL queries are 100. Number of query rows are 50,000. Take a notes of it. Now, out of 150, it got executed 10 DML statements. It executed 10 DML statements. Now, DML rows are 10,000. Limit is 10,000. Out of this 10,000, it got executed 10 DML rows. It executed the 10 DML rows. Now, similarly, SOQL queries is 100. SOQL queries is 100. Out of 100 at the back end, now it got executed the 5. Similarly, the query rows, it got executed the 5. Right, so if I write this DML statements inside the for loop, what will happen is it will execute like sometimes you might hit the Garner limits. Sometimes you might hit the Garner limits. You might hit the Garner limit. So that's the reason it's not a best practice to write a DML statement inside the for loop. Do not write any DML statements inside the for loop. This is not the right one. You need to use all the DML statements outside of the for loop. You need to use DML statements outside of the for loop. But if I use a outside of the for loop, if I use outside of the for loop, it will say that ACC is undefined or not available. The variable is not available. This ACC is not available. Because the initialization is happening here. Now this is a single record creation. But I wanted to create collection of records. I need to create a collection of records. If I wanted to create a collection of records, then what we need to do is we need to store all the records inside the collection. That means I'm going to create a list of an account. Let's say ACC list equal to new list of account. I'm declaring the list collection here. I'm declaring the list collection. Now each record, I'm going to add it inside the ACC. Each record, I'm going to add it inside this ACC list. So first it will execute the first record and it will add it into the ACC list. And second, again it will add it into the list. Third, again it will add it into the list. So finally, I'll be having the outside of this for loop. I'll have all records. Outside, all the records are available. Now, all the records are available. Now, if I say here insert ACC list, so what will happen is all the records that gets created. All the records are that gets created. Now, if I say here executed, now that means execute the highlighted one. If I say execute the highlighted one, what will happen? It will execute all the records. Now, if I go to the object, now here account, inside the account, and there is a records which are created, dev console 1, dev console 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Initially it was created only one record. Right? These are the records which are created. Now let me give another name here. Now, let's say console. I'll remove this. I'll just say console. Click on the execute. Now if I go back to the account record, it is created console 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So just now it is created. Just now it is created. Yes, that is true. Okay, so these are the records which are created. Now that's how we are going to create a bulk records in the, whenever we wanted to create a multiple records, we use the bulk records. When we are creating the bulk records, store all each record inside the collection list, right? Based on the, either you can store it into the list or you can store it into the set or you can store it into the map. It's based on your requirement. That is how the data will be stored. Now you can store that based on the requirement. You can store it either map, either list or either set. Then you can insert that collection. Now, so okay, so we are out of time. So let's take a assignment. Write a Apex program to insert a 10 lead records inside the object. This is the assignment. Now, tomorrow we will discuss about the subprograms. Once we are done with the subprogram, then we will talk about the inheritance and the protected. That's all for today.